First-person games are a dime a dozen these days, but not every game is created equal. The best games of this ilk really make you feel seated in the character's shoes, take you to wondrous places, and treat you to memorable adventures that stay with you long after the credits roll. With this feature, we'll be taking a look at 15 of the best single-player first-person games of recent memory that you should definitely check out. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. When Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was announced as a first-person title, many fans would have understandably been skeptical as to how such an action-adventure-focused title would work within the context of a first-person game. But those skepticisms were pleasantly washed away when the game actually came out. In addition to a very engaging story with memorable characters, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle features intriguing puzzles and a great deal of flexibility in how you choose to go about quests. Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. GSC Game World delivered a strong successor to the Stalker series with Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. Built using Unreal Engine 5, the sequel flaunts amazing visuals, which is paired with some excellent first-person shooting mechanics and an open world that never ceases to amaze you. And at the center of it all sits some great systemic game design patterns that come together to make this post-apocalyptic world a truly unforgettable one. Kingdom Come: Deliverance II. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 took everything that worked in the original and dialed those aspects up to 11, and that's the best route that any sequel can take. The original nailed high-intensity sword fighting in first-person view, and Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 improves on that in several key areas that makes tussling with swords and shields a constantly enjoyable affair. Of course, an RPG like this one needs to have an engaging story and side content, and Kingdom Come delivers on those aspects in spades. It's a wondrous experience that certainly has a learning curve to it, but once you get past that, it's almost impossible to put down. Alien: Rogue Incursion. Alien: Rogue Incursion is all about bringing the fantasy of being a sole survivor against these ferocious xenomorphs to life. And it's safe to say that the game does its job quite potently. You assume the role of Zula Hendrix and must make your way through a xenomorph-infested planet, and the game does a great job of balancing the action and survival horror ends of the gameplay, making for a consistently high-octane adventure that will keep you playing for hours and hours on end. Batman: Arkham Shadow. The Batman Arkham series continues with the VR adventure Batman: Arkham Shadow, which revolves around our caped crusader trying to find the real identity of the Rat King. Unlike previous games that featured a heavy focus on chaining together flashy combos and exploring labyrinthine open worlds, Batman: Arkham Shadow shifts the focus to the detective side of Batman. And the resulting game is a beautiful VR experience that will keep you glued to the edge of your seat at all times. Metro Awakening. Another VR title on this list, Metro Awakening takes the best parts of the Metro franchise, the storytelling, the post-apocalyptic world, and the characters, and dumps them together in a more concise and focused single-player experience. The combat and stealth mechanics work pretty well within this framework, making for some amazing action sequences. There are a few rough edges here and there, such as inconsistent pacing and repetitive missions, but by and large it's a game that you should definitely check out. RoboCop: Rogue City – Unfinished Business. RoboCop: Rogue City was a great experience with its fair share of merits and flaws, but developer Taeon tried to fix most of those wrongs with the standalone expansion Unfinished Business. The story isn't something to write home about, but it's surprisingly engaging, and the combat here feels a lot more solid this time around, thanks to new enemy types and better level design. It's short, concise, and fun, especially if you made your way through the base game. System Shock 2 Enhanced Edition. Night Dive Studios has done an amazing job of enhancing System Shock in a way that feels palatable to the modern audience. And that amazing work continues for the sequel in the form of System Shock 2 Enhanced Edition. A shiny new coat of paint and much needed quality of life improvements in the gameplay department really bring out the best of the game. Metal Eden. Metal Eden feels like a spiritual successor to Titanfall, and we mean this comparison in the best way possible. It features a fast-paced gameplay loop where you waltz around the arena, wall running, jumping, and using bullet time while picking off enemies in large spaces. And yes, there's also the occasional boss fight to keep things fresh. Metal Eden is a quality game that really deserves a lot more attention, so do check it out if you haven't. Avowed. Avowed transports players into a mystical world that's brimming with imagination and all sorts of dangers, and you must embark on a long journey to put an end to a deadly plague that's ravaging throughout this virtual world. The first-person combat might not be as accurate as Kingdom Come, but using different combinations of spells and weapons remains a consistently enjoyable affair. The excellent world building and writing chops shine in Avowed, where you get to explore a huge world brimming with meaningful side quests to pursue and characters to meet. Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon. Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon is not a game that's flawless by any means. It has plenty of flaws, ranging from technical to design issues. But the core elements of the experience, including but not limited to the first-person melee combat, definitely deserve some praise. It can be slow at the very start, but as you start spending time and investing in the skill tree, you'll start to enjoy what's on offer. Doom: The Dark Ages. Doom: The Dark Ages takes the Slayer to the Middle Ages, and the resulting gameplay is something that's equal parts fresh and familiar. The slower pace of combat worked perfectly in tandem with heavier enemies, and the renewed focus on staying your ground and parrying through attacks. Doom: The Dark Ages also adds dragon rides into the mix, making this massive trek through the Middle Ages a constantly engaging experience. The Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign. Many FPS games haven't been recognized for their single-player campaigns in a long while, which is why this mention is surprising, given how terrible Call of Duty games have been in the past. Black Ops 6 shifts the focus from the front lines of war to the thrilling espionage that goes along with it, and the results are astonishing. Being a spy and carrying out your objectives in carefully curated levels never stops being a thrill, and the flexibility offered in these missions isn't something that you'd expect to find in a first-person shooter campaign. And the fact that the story is actually quite engaging and lasts more than a couple of hours makes this campaign one of the best that we've seen in so many years. MechWarrior 5 Clans. MechWarrior 5 puts you in the operating cockpit of a high-tech mecha and improves upon what came before in new and interesting ways. Clan's story is a novel one that mixes this brutalist action with more humane themes of loss and other casualties of war. Getting into the hang of things can be a bit difficult since MechWarrior 5 is more of a simulation-oriented game, but understanding all of the minute details and using them to your advantage is something that will keep you coming back for more and more. And yeah, there's also a very handy co-op mode that you can enjoy with friends. Atomfall. Atomfall can be best described as Fallout, but set in Britain. Of course, that one-liner might not justify the many differences and nuances perfectly, but it's a good starting point nevertheless. Atomfall's world is a fictionalized rendition of a radiation-stricken part of northern England, and it tells a tale of how harsh surviving in such a post-apocalyptic environment like this one can be. One of the most striking aspects of Atomfall has to be the visuals, which combine a serene countryside with fierce mutants that can kill you in a matter of seconds. The combat and adventure work pretty well with other mechanics like progression, and the end result is a rather engaging experience that you should definitely check out.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.